After a protracted illness, German composer Ludwig van Beethoven passed away on a rainy Monday in March 1827. Since Christmas, he had been confined to his bed, suffering from jaundice, swollen hands, feet, and stomach, and difficulty breathing. When his co-workers started going through his personal stuff, they came across a will that Beethoven had written 25 years prior, asking his brothers to disclose his illness to the public. It's no news these days that by the mid-1840s, one of the greatest composers of all time had become functionally deaf. Beethoven believed that the world would understand the awful irony of it, not just from a personal but also a medical one. Almost 2 centuries after the composer's death, a team of researchers labored painstakingly to examine the DNA from authenticated samples of his hair in order to carry out his will in ways he could never have dreamed, even though the composer would live for nearly 2 decades longer under the care of his doctors. Our primary goal was to shed light on Beethoven's health issues, which notably included progressive hearing loss that began in the mid-1840s and eventually led to his functional deafness by the late 1810s, stated Johannes Krauss, a scientist at the Max Planck Institute. Hearing loss that progressed was only one piece of the puzzle. Even his personal physician, Dr. Johann Adam Schmidt, was never able to conclusively identify the primary reason of his hearing loss. His career as a performer came to an end when he developed tinnitus in the 1840s, which later progressed to a reduced ability to tolerate loud noises and, finally, a loss of hearing in high frequencies. Nothing could be more upsetting to a composer. Beethoven wrote to his siblings acknowledging that he was depressed to the point of contemplating suicide. However, he had to deal with more than just his hearing loss over his adult life. It has been said that he struggled with severe stomach pain and persistent diarrhea as early as the age of 22. He was diagnosed with liver illness 6 years prior to his passing, indicating that his liver condition, which was probably brought on by alcohol use and other risk factors for liver disease, was the cause of his untimely death at the age of 56. According to a 2007 forensic examination of Beethoven's hair, lead poisoning may have contributed to his demise, if it wasn't the main cause of the symptoms that ultimately claimed his life. This conclusion is not surprising considering the prevalent practice of consuming alcohol from lead-filled containers and the lead-based medicinal procedures prevalent during that era. This most recent analysis, which was published in March 2023, refutes the notion but does show that Beethoven's hair was really given to an unidentified woman rather than him. Furthermore, multiple hair strands discovered within his belongings verify that his demise was probably brought on by a hepatitis B infection, which was made worse by his alcohol consumption and other potential causes of liver damage. What about other circumstances? Kruse stated, "We were unable to determine any specific cause for Beethoven's deafness or gastrointestinal issues. In some respects, the life and demise of the well-known classical composer leave us with more questions than answers. From where did the hepatitis originate? How could a clump of a woman's hair have lasted for centuries as a symbol of Beethoven? And why was he experiencing tummy aches and hearing loss? It's a heartbreaking result, considering that the team was motivated by Beethoven's wish for the world to comprehend his hearing loss. But there was another startling discovery hidden in his genes. Tristan Begg, a biogenic anthropologist currently at the University of Cambridge in Britain, stated that comparing the Y chromosome in hair samples to modern descendants from Beethoven's paternal lineage suggests an additional paternal event between the conception of Hendrik van Beethoven in Kampenhout, Belgium in 1572 and the birth of Ludwig van Beethoven in Bonn, Germany in 1770. All of this may have added a little more mystery to the early years of Beethoven, who could never have imagined that the mysteries would be preserved as his body was being gently shorn of its hair, having witnessed the fatal request written down by his friends and collaborators on that melancholy stormy night of Monday, 1827,